Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy had a lot going against it when it was first released. It was always going to be compared to its online counterpart, Gundam Battle Operation 2, which didn't help it given GPL2's mixed reception. The game was also set during the One-Year War, which is a time period that many fans of Gundam are a little burnt out of from all the entries that take place during that time period. It was also only sold in digital form, and was, and still is, locked on PlayStation. So despite Gundam Battle Operation 2 being ported to PC, Code Fairy remains a PlayStation exclusive. There was also little marketing done to promote the game. Like many Gundam games, it seemed that Bandai did not believe in this one. This shows in the game's budget and presentation, as the game looks like it was made with very little resources. It's honestly a miracle the game was made at all, with glue and rubber bands holding it together. To add to the lack of marketing, in my opinion, putting a Zaku instead of a Gundam on the front cover probably didn't help bring in potential new players, as well since Zakus are not as well known compared to how a Gundam looks like. Sure, Zeon has its fans, but those fans are already well versed in Gundam lore. Zeonic Front may have had a Zaku on its cover as well, but even that one at least had a face of a Gundam in the background. 0079 Rise from the Ashes also didn't have a Gundam on its cover, but the GMs share a similar silhouette with the Gundam. Code Fairy was released in 2021 and is a single-player version of its online counterpart, GBL2, down to using the exact same game engine. And then it was quickly forgotten about, like some middle or unwanted stepchild. Before going any further, I quickly want to make it clear that I'm only going to be going over the single player version and not GBL2 in this video. I may make some light references or comparisons, but this is a retrospective of only Code Fairy. So I don't want to see any crying in the comments section about how long the wait time between matches, or how their teammates all suck in rated matches, or whatever else players like to complain about. You know who you are. I acknowledge there are issues online, but I'm not here to discuss them today. Moving on, the story of Code Fairy takes place during the One-Year War, and so a lot of the mobile suits still have that heavy weight to them. The combat is slower and requires a little more thought with how you engage the enemy. It's not necessarily difficult, so long as you don't try to play like other Gundam games, such as the Versus series. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that the game can't be frustrating at times. This may come more so from a game design issue rather than a spike in difficulty one. Your thruster gouge that serves as your stamina bar really only allows you 1 or 2 dodge rolls in most instances, depending on the mobile suit you have, before you have to wait for them to cool down. You also can't be flying around the map, or constantly dashing in multiple directions like in an Armored Core game. In story mode, and some of the side stories, you're only able to use whatever suit is provided to you. There are also certain missions or objectives where it feels like the in-game maps were not designed with them in mind. If you're a glass half full person, you may see these as just challenges placed on you by the game. If you're a glass half empty person, then you'll see these as problems. Despite some frustration on my part, I still ended up having some fun. I say only some because I personally do not like Zeon. Call me crazy, but I have issues taking the side responsible for wiping out half of humanity. Most of those people killed being in space, mind you. You know, the very same people Zeon claimed to be fighting for. And like a typical Zeon-centric story, they largely avoid discussing the war crimes committed by their side, all the while trying to show that the Federation side had some bad apples as well. Which, sure, in a war, both sides will have individuals who will be more than happy to commit a few war crimes. But this game, like all other Zeon stories, prefers to ignore the fact that Zeon were the ones responsible for half of humanity getting wiped out. At the very least, it tries to have colorful characters instead of the more serious space Prussian military-style characters seen in other Zeon stories. Play enough Gundam games, and it quickly feels like Gundam just can't get away from the One-Year War. Despite having numerous anime, OVAs, manga, and games that take place during it, you can be sure to expect another new entry during that time period every other year or so. This is just my opinion, but in terms of gameplay potential, I feel that Setting a story during the events of Zeta Gundam would have been the better option, as it serves as the perfect balance between the slower, heavier mobile suit combat and the faster, more agile combat that comes later on in the timeline. In the beginning, I wanted to give the developers the benefit of the doubt, assuming that the Zeta era mobile suits had not been released in the online game version at the time of development. But those very same suits, like the Gundam Mark II and the Zeta, are unlockable later on in the game. There's even the Double Zeta. Anyway, for what little money the developers had for making the game, it seems like a big chunk of that went to the anime department, as it's presented like an actual anime, even coming with its own anime style opening and end credits for every episode. Let's also not forget the previews at the end of every episode as well. To be fair, I do feel that the game has some good stuff. There are some good missions when the game lets you loose on the map, and allows you to engage the enemy however you want. Unfortunately, it will also periodically force you to play in a certain way. Depending on your personal preference and how you like to play, these can either be good or bad moments. There is also quite a fair bit of content. The good content, however, is stretched out with some filler stuff, such as forcing you to do tutorials at the start of every episode. Normally, I wouldn't bring up tutorials as an issue, so long as they actually teach you new mechanics. But some of these tutorials involve forcing you to do certain things that you already figured out how to do on your own, such as how to perform combos or how to stun lock an enemy. Or maybe that's just a me thing, since I've played the online version for so many years now. I suppose it's possible that some of these skills that are almost second nature to me may not be so for a newcomer. The game also has some side content that follows the perspective of other characters from the game's story. This is actually a nice addition. There are also simulation missions that allow you to unlock additional custom parts. These custom parts can then later on be equipped onto your mobile suit during the main story campaign. And in the main campaign, you can also level up the 3 main characters. As you level up, their skills with their mobile suits increase. However, it's not exactly an RPG. So, what's the point to Cold Fairy? Is it worth giving it a try in 2026? Well, as far as Gundam games go, it's just okay. It is about the best thing I can say about it. Definitely not my favorite, and definitely not in my top 10 Gundam games. But I won't deny that it had some moments. The combat feels good if you prefer the slightly slower gameplay style. However, the map designs don't really allow you to get that much mileage out of it. The story is forgettable, and I don't see it being anyone's personal favorite among all the other Gundam stories in either the shows or video games. But I suppose its quality is passable or serviceable. And yet, even with all that said, I feel like there's enough here to get your money's worth in 2026, so long as you get the game at a discount. I cannot justify paying a full $60 for this game, not even $40. But if you manage to get it at a discount, say $9.99, then you'll definitely get a good bang for your buck with what the game has to offer. The game goes on sale regularly, about once every 3 months or so, if you're looking for a relatively new Gundam game. At least compared to other games I've covered so far, then this one might be a good pick, especially since it's unlikely we'll be getting another single-player game like this for a while. So long as you get it at a discount, of course. And obviously, if you own a PlayStation 4 or 5. Just make sure you buy the version that comes with all 3 parts. I would not recommend getting the deluxe edition. There's really no need for it. As for is the game good or bad, I am not here to tell you that. I gave you some of my thoughts and showed you some gameplay. I trust you can decide for yourselves as individuals. But if you want a number on it, then how about I give Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy a $9.99 out of $70. That's all I got. Take care and see you later.